I'm here to say welcome to you from the Wurundjeri people. Waminjika Yemen Kundi Bik Wurundjeri Balak. Welcome to the land of the Wurundjeri people. Very happy to see you all here today. But think about every First Nation in this country who has a right to a voice, a right to a life, a right to safety, and a right to all the other things that everybody on the planet aspires to. We are the first people of this country. It's time for that respect and recognition to come through properly. And if we're allowed to use the tools that we can access, we will become self-sustaining, even prouder, and we can have young people coming through who can lead us into the future. Thank you.
This is such an awesome sight. Today you're gathered here to stand in solidarity, and I've come to tell you that we stand in solidarity with you. That's right. There are marches all across New Zealand today in Wellington to our Parliament to tell our government that they should be condemning what is happening in this country and stand in solidarity with you. That's right. There are marches in Auckland, in Dunedin, in Hamilton and in Christchurch, but not just there, in London, in LA, in New York, in Hong Kong, because the people of this world are standing to say that this action is not right.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land! Always was, always will be Aboriginal land! Always was, always will be Aboriginal land!
Well, today, just like the last time we rallied, everyone's getting together to stop the forced closures of our Aboriginal communities, and I think the cracks are beginning to show within the government and the system.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land! Always was, always will be Aboriginal land!
Hello, I'm Monica. I'm a Gunner and Gunditjmara woman from Gippsland, and I believe that today is going to be a very, very empowering day for our people. We are standing together as brothers and sisters against the forced closures of Aboriginal communities in WA, and for the resistance, the revival and survival of our 60,000 year plus culture, and to keep it alive. And I'm very, 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 very proud to be here today.
No pride in genocide! 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 No pride in genocide!
This is an issue for every single person living in this country. It's an issue for every single person in this world. It's the same old story about resource extraction equals Aboriginal genocide, and it needs to stop, and we're going to stop this right now.
No pride in genocide! No pride in genocide! No pride in genocide! No pride in genocide! No pride in genocide!
It's a new moment for all Aboriginal people, young and old, or not even and non-Aboriginal people. This is the start of a really big thing in this country, and I don't think a lot of people are ready for it. But we are ready, and we're going to start taking back this country.
Stand up, fight back! 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 Always was, always will be Aboriginal land! 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 Always was, always will be Aboriginal land!
Colin Barnett is a closet racist, we all know that. For him to run a strategy where he's going to disappear whole communities, and it doesn't matter how small they are, whether they've got one family there or 100 families there. Colin Barnett is showing his true colours, and we all know who he's back, and he's back in the mining companies to rape and exploit our country, and he's got to remove Aboriginal people to do that.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land! Always was, always will be Aboriginal land! Always was, always will be Aboriginal.
People are disappointed in the way the government treats Aboriginal people, and the injustices that have led on from dispossession and colonisation are still present today. institutions still oppress Aboriginal people in many ways. Yeah, I feel like there's the younger generation is really taking a step up and starting to really fire up, just like the good old days. The movement is still alive. Now it's just about articulating what we want.
I think what the government has to realise is that land is an important aspect of Indigenous culture and it can't be ignored. If they want to do this to one group of people in Australia, they're going to want to do it to all of us. So it's really important that everyone gets behind this.
My name is Marama Fox and I'm here from New Zealand supporting the Indigenous rights of the Australian Aboriginal people. Forced closures of the Australian traditional lands is absolutely abhorrent. The Australian government should not be doing this. United Indigenous peoples from around the world have spoken out and said that it is wrong, it is not right and it must stop.
It's really important that all Australians stand up for the rights of Indigenous people in this country.
Well, I think it's an embarrassment to all those leaders out there, such as Warren Mundine and Noel Pearson and Darcy Langton, that these young people here from war are doing this, and good on them for doing it. All those old folks better get behind them and back them and support them and expose this racist government and people like Warren Mundine who run this Indigenous Advisory Council on behalf of Tony Rabbit. I think it's time that we supported these young fellas. I think what they're doing, we should all be proud of them, and their ancestors would be proud of them.
So thank you for coming today to support our brothers and sisters in the remote communities. We're going to do a really, really quick dance to welcome everybody here onto Wurundjeri land.
I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners around Melbourne today and to all the different mobs, the traditional owners of all the different mobs that we're here today. I want to congratulate the young organisers of this here. Give them a big cheer. It's really, you've got no idea how encouraging it is for some of us old mob to see such a gathering as this here today. It was 50 years ago this month. Happy May Day, folks. It was 50 years ago this month that I saw Charlie Perkins's Freedom Ride come through the town I was living in northern New South Wales. That was one of the things that put the fire in my belly when I was young. It really saddens me that here we are 50 years later and we're still out there fighting for justice. So I'd say to all you young people who are here today, you've got to maintain the rage, you've got to maintain the energy, because it's going to be a long, hard struggle. Today is not just about the brutal closure of communities in Western Australia. There are a multitude of issues that have brought us here today. One of the most important is that the jails of this country are full of blackfellas. 30 years ago, the Australian government spent $50 million on a royal commission into black deaths in custody. The major finding of that royal commission was that so many blackfellas were dying in custody because there were so many blackfellas in custody 30 years ago. There are more blackfellas in the jails of Australia today than there were at the time of the Royal Commission. This gives us an indication of the struggle ahead of us. Again, I want you all to congratulate the young organisers of today. Maintain the rage, maintain your energy. One more thing I'd like to say, it gave me heart to hear the sister from Aotearoa, the sister from the Maori Party in New Zealand. 40 years ago, Aboriginal activists from the Black Power movement in Australia travelled to New Zealand, to Aotearoa, to march in solidarity with the Maori people in their land rights march into Wellington in 1972. There has been a long, strong tradition of mutual support for each other, and so that's why I've been so pleased to see on Facebook so many of our Maori brothers and sisters in New Zealand supporting us. International solidarity is important because the current Australian government and previous Australian governments don't really give a damn unless they see international support being expressed for us. It's important also to remember, don't think that by changing the government in Canberra from Abbott to some dickhead like Bill Shorten, the ALP is more racist than the Conservatives in Canberra. All politicians are bastards. All politicians are lying bastards. The last thing I want to say is it's really heartening, but it confirms what I've always thought about Melbourne. The people of Melbourne, and that includes all the people that are here today, all the Aboriginal people, all the non-Aboriginal people. You are what makes this city so so good to live in. Don't always have faith that there's a turnout in these sort of numbers for this sort of issue. All you got to do is keep the struggle going. Keep the struggle going until we win.
That's my language. And not all you know that what government doing to us, like my family back there, my whole community and close, and we doing our best to make it come right for our people.
He's the director of CALAC, and CALAC is the Kimberley Aboriginal Law and Culture Centre. It represents the traditional owners and cultural bosses from the 30 language groups across the Kimberleys. CALAC directors at a recent board meeting have resolved as following in relation to the threatened closure of the remote communities. We don't want to be consulted. We demand genuine dialogue. How can the Western Australian government speak for 5 months about closing down our communities and not talk with us for 5 months? Some people say that consultations will start on the 1st of July, but CALAC only hears this second or third hand because no one from government has bothered to speak directly to us.
Thanks everybody here for supporting our community in the Kimberley and Adelaide. We need to support Adelaide and thank everybody for supporting us.
As a South African, we have experienced the same thing where our government have done forced removal during the Group Areas Act, and now I feel the same pain which the Aboriginals are feeling in this country.
Massive respect for everyone who came today. It was amazing, really powerful and emotional day and moving for everyone. I hope the message really gets through and that the original people of this land can have what's theirs, and yeah, there'll be a synergy of people moving towards one good thing.
People have quite deep hearts in Australia, and to see particularly the Indigenous people being shafted again, it's really upsetting, deeply, deeply upsetting.
I've lived through the intervention in the Northern Territory, and I've seen the damage that it has done to our people. I remembered a general came to our community, who was my adopted community, at Millicabity in uniform, and what did I see in the eyes of the children? They were scared. They were scared that they were going to be stolen again.